Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming up. I'm gonna kick it off. So, at what point in your career did you know you were going to be a major business leader, and where were you at in life? Like, what was going on?
Cool. That's a big question, isn't it? To start. I think always been ambitious, and I think my time at Expeditors is probably where that sort of came out and kind of shone through. I joined that business as a management trainee from a legal background. So I studied law, did a postgraduate in law, and became a paralegal. But that wasn't really like the environment for me to thrive. Very hierarchical sort of like nature to where you progress and how you progress. Yeah. And that just didn't sit well with me.
Dog eat dog.
Exactly.
Step on someone to get to the next.
Well, not only
position.
that, but it's like, okay, you're now qualified as a lawyer, and then you've got 3 years until you can be 3 years post-qualified. And then that means something else and a different banding of salary and responsibility.
Yeah.
And that just didn't sit well. So I took a role actually at Expeditors as an MT, management trainee, and they really looked after me. It was a fabulous time in my life. I was there for 8 years, and what they allowed me to do was just they travel the world, but also just change position and role quite frequently.
Yeah.
Especially in the MT program, you just deployed around the business.
That is interesting.
Yeah, and it just gave me a chance to like travel, understand how people in different cultures need to interact and build trust and relationships. Mm-hmm. And when that was going on, I thought, especially with the tech wave and Expeditors being quite a traditional place to work, it wasn't moving as fast as I wanted to on the tech side, and also I didn't get an insight or a look into the tech as I'd like to. So I left to join a tech business in Beacon, a pre-Series A startup. They raised 50 mil.
Yeah.
And I think through those transitions, from being exposed to so much at Expeditors, it made me realize like this is what I want to do. And yeah.
And when you go in as as management trainee, which one is interesting because like a lot of guests we've had on, they'll come through the traditional import export ops, and sort of work into work their way up.
Yeah.
But and obviously it sounds like you had the stellar legal legal things set up.
Yeah.
Like, what were parents saying at the time, and like what were to say, oh, you're going to go down this really solid route into the world of logistics?
Yeah, I think. Look, I mean, my parents were a little bit apprehensive because, like, to study law and to train that hard, it was over 7 years, right?
Yeah.
You're in a lot of like student debt situation.
Yeah.
But they were supportive as long as I stuck to it. So they didn't want to see me jump ship and then flitter off into doing something else.
Oh yeah.
And actually, like the legal standing gives me a really good like
base.
Even today, right? Like I'm dealing with contracts every day, and I'm dealing with like unique and complex scenarios with clients, right?
Yeah.
So the legal side of it, although I couldn't practice like now nowhere near, you've got a really good eye and like a commercial acumen.
Yeah.
So that's what I kept through, and like mum and dad were like, as long as you keep like the foundations and the cores of what you've like studied and learned, right the way down to like how you write and how you interact and how professional you are, which law gives you a lot of that.
Yeah.
They were comfortable with it, So, but it was a leap, and I was lucky that I was like mentored early at Expeditors because rocking up as like, a trainee solicitor.
Yeah.
Into basically they chucked me a high vis and stuck me in the warehouse.
Right.
It's like how do you transition?
Yeah.
But I was lucky to meet very good people and they looked after
guided you through it. How many people did you start with? If you look to your left and your right, was there other people there that that perhaps had logistics experience?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's any different Expeditors to like any other large forwarder.
Yeah.
Everybody is. A lot of people say they fall into freight forwarding or like they fall into logistics. It's like a very common thing to hear. But what I found is that perhaps I had a different educational background.
Yeah.
But in terms of everybody else's expertise and like understanding of logistics, it was just like 10x was what mine was. Right. So they were good people and they departed all the information they could. But I mean, I was a terrible operator. Like me operating shipments is not where my strong point lied, but you had to understand like the movement of goods.
Yeah.
And where those bottlenecks lie across like, the shipment handling. So I got that foundational information.
Yeah.
And learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors, and I was forgiven for them, at a shipment level, because in effect, it's all how do you protect your margin? And if you're not well versed in operations, like it's hard to like
look under the hood and make the tweaks.
Exactly. Yeah. But what happened was they gave me an opportunity to be a global account manager and run one of their largest accounts in GSK.
Yeah.
And that the relationships with people and being more client facing.
Yeah.
With a somewhat operational like understanding was like that's where I found my footing.
Because I suppose if stuff was going to be going wrong in the account, your job was probably go and have a look, speak to the people that were going to handle it.
But also like when you have that conversation, you need to do it in like an empathetic way. You can't like turn around to people who are in operations and beat them up because the account's not going well.
Yeah.
You have to have walked a mile in their shoes in order to get people to do things you need and make sure they're adhering to KPIs and the ways of working. So, yeah.
And like, I'm still not there yet. What made you actually decide logistics? Was it you were going to apply to, 3 different logistics companies within management as a management trainee, or
So what I trace it back to is that I'm quite a tangible person. Mm-hmm. Like I could never work in finance because everything's sort of paper based and it's a little bit too like untangible for me. Like I can't look and feel it.
Yeah.
So when I got exposed to international business, Incoterms, shipment documentation in a legal setting, in a maritime legal setting, I was like, I'd love to go and understand how a 20-foot, 40-foot's like loaded. And which was my first job, like jump in and start moving pallets around and load them in a 40-foot container. And that for me, I needed to be able to like see it and feel it to truly understand something.
Yeah.
So that was kind of where my head was at. And it, thankfully it stuck.
The pennies dropped. I get it now. I get it.
But as I say, like in a legal setting, you're dealing with, bills of ladings and contracts of carriage and big commercial agreements around how goods are moved.
Yeah.
And to me, it was painting a picture in my mind as to like, well, how does that work? I'd love to go and find out. So, you work at someone like Expeditors, you go on port tours, you board vessels, you look at aircraft, you go to Heathrow, like you get a firm, like grassroots understanding of how cargo moves around the world.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I wanted to be.
Very, very cool. And what would you say then the first leadership role you had was?
So I, out of the MT program, I became a global account manager, which is quite a rare thing to happen. But I was a little bit older coming into the MT program and a bit different.
Yeah.
And what that was although not direct reports, it was a leadership position to the end client in how you communicate with them.
Yeah.
But also having a global overview of like how that account is running. And this is down to like, maybe 60, 70 offices worldwide that roll up into you. Not in a P&L setting.
Yeah.
But in a way that
sort of is indirect, dotted line.
Indirect. But in terms of like the account owner, my name was on it.
Yeah.
So that was truly like the first thing leadership wise that I had to sort of handle and deal with.
And how old were you?
I was 28.
28.
Right. Yeah.
And what was going on in the background, sort of life wise? Were you?
What was going on? I was living with a missus actually in like locally, and then that fell apart, and I had to pay for
bills got real.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, yeah, that's exactly what happened. So, but yeah, I mean, look, I'm now a father of 2. I'm married. Like back then, it was, you were young and free to like move around and do those types of things. And which meant the travel was extremely exciting.
Yeah.
And it was something that I could throw myself into. with very little impact on anyone else going around me. So
yeah. No, interesting. And then you joined Beacon more for the tech. Like, I guess, was there an indication at Expeditors you felt you were going to always go that route and follow tech?
Yeah. So I joined a 2-year exec program at Expeditors. They get 4 people worldwide on it per year.
All right.
And I was seconded to China for 4 or 5 months, and we were basically assigned a mentor that was an ex-Navy SEAL, and then we were assigned a whole bunch of tasks. You had to read books, you had to do projects, etc. And through that experience, I got exposed to like the real inner workings of Expeditors, which is incredible. But the tech piece they don't have a bad tech stack at all, but for me and my influence and understanding on the tech, I just wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
And at the time, Flexport had blown up, Zen Cargo were doing very well.
Yeah.
And Beacon were kind of like new on the scene.
Yeah.
And so, I halved my salary and just said, like, I need to change. Like, I need to evolve as like a logistics leader and have way more expertise around technology, and also just work in a smaller environment. Like Expeditors is 16,000 employees or whatever.
Yeah.
So I wanted to work in a much smaller environment and have slightly bigger impact.
Bigger impact.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the impact really that I was after, and also it's just a bit more intimate with people, right?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're looking around, it's like, who's going to do the work? And it's like, well, there's only 10 of us here. Like, someone's got to do it, So like the way that you had to execute and the way that you had to rely on other people was super interesting, because being part of it, being a small cog in a massive engine, you're not going to get those stresses, right?
Yeah,
so that's what I was after. But also, the co-founders of Beacon are impressive people. They're ex-Uber, very senior execs. And that's kind of what happened.
No, interesting.
Yeah.
And like, did you have, because I know obviously being sort of London based, there's the whole tech boom, in general. Do you have friends that like were in that space that sort of influenced wanting to go down the tech route?
Not really. Like, I don't have. I've got a couple of friends just through working in the industry so long.
Right.
But as a tight-knit friendship group, like, no one works in shipping and logistics, I know. And if they do, and if I bump into them, like, we go into a rabbit hole and talk about it for hours. But typically, like, I live and work in London. A lot of people are in finance. A lot of people are in banking and accounting, etc. So like, I didn't have anyone that was doing it ahead of me. But I was just of the opinion that the quicker I can expose to the technology piece, now that I understand, and now I understand how the thing works and how you move cargo, I think I'll have a bigger impact on the tech side.
Got you.
Yeah.
And what do you think the biggest challenge was if you were to say going in at MT level? What was like the biggest, and was there any times where like, you might have said to yourself, I've really dropped the ball, or I've sort of questioned it?
Yeah, I think forwarding can be a bit of a closed place. Like, I found in the early years of working in forwarding that I couldn't find a lot of like industry news on it. Right. I didn't know where to look to in terms of like institutes or like formal networks to like understand who I'm up against and who I'm working with.
Yeah.
So who do you interact and who do you network with?
Yeah.
It was something that it blew my mind that I couldn't like work it out very quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very set in your ways, like in law and in other sectors, like where the watering holes are that people hang out, right?
Yeah.
So I found it a bit strange that I couldn't work that out quickly. But the other thing is as well that I wasn't from a forwarding background. And so I had to like depart my knowledge in a way that made sense to other people, and also try and take on all of this unknown, shipment acronyms, etc., like as quickly as I possibly could. And it wasn't easy. Yeah. And so, there's a very like clear instance where I was working in road freight, and I just simply I used to manage a very small like trade lane between London Heathrow and Ireland. So it was just a truck that you had to fill every day and just stick it on a ferry and go to Ireland. There's nothing more simple than that.
Yeah.
And because LHR is kind of the consolidation hub, all the other branches from around the UK would be delivering into me for me to then load the truck and like get right. And I just wasn't very good at it, to be honest. Like I would lead things off, like it wouldn't go to plan, like the truck would leave late, we'd miss the ferry. And it's because like at the time I didn't have the foresight to know that if I make an error here, what the domino is.
Yeah.
Right.
The little 1% is
exactly.
almost the compound.
Yeah.
No, I think there'll be some people that probably, take a bit of confidence in it that, someone like yourself probably bled back, when you were first getting into it. So no, interesting. Well, and then went into Beacon. What was the role there? What were you doing?
Just business development.
Okay.
So they were just starting their go-to-market motion. And at the time we were a freight forwarder. COVID hit. It was like $18,000 an FAK a box from Shanghai. So we made hay while the sun shined. But in effect, they didn't know any shippers. They didn't have. I think they had about 3 customers at the time.
Got you.
So it was very much like get on the phone. It was in the middle of COVID. You couldn't see anyone.
Yeah.
So I was just in the spare bedroom, like hitting the phone. That you're like, we've got a rate. We know you're moving cargo. And try and overlay the fact that, we're a tech disruptor that wants to move cargo. And the second phase at Beacon was Beacon Capital, which was the revolving credit facilities and supply chain finance too.
Oh, okay.
As they were moving the cargo,
yeah,
they would help with the purchase order or the manufacturing of the goods.
Oh, okay.
So they bundled that, and that became a really unique proposition.
Yeah.
But yeah, in
so they were helping their customers manufacture their products to then ship. And
correct.
Then basically really sort of entwining themselves into the customer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's very cool. And sorry, you were.
No, I was just going to say, like, starting out, I mean, Beacon was very good at marketing itself, obviously, because we had such good tech pedigree from Amazon, from Uber and others. But myself and a few other of the business development guys, we were all from freight because obviously we were the voice of the customer. We had an understanding of what the customer needed, and we were the ones that could actually interact and talk with them with a level of credibility. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, it was we had to educate the market a lot about like what we were doing. We're still doing that today in what I'm doing. I think that never really ends, right? Yeah. But it was a slog. It was like the good old fashioned, like get on the phone, see if you can phone 60, 70 people, scraping numbers and email addresses from wherever you could and setting up sequences and just trying to get it going.
Making it happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then from Beacon?
From Beacon, I worked at a company called Winwood.
Yeah.
So they IPO'd and then they were taken private by private equity, a company called FTV. Yeah. And I came in to just be a commercial director. So very similar to Beacon. Well, sorry, it's not too similar to Beacon. Winwood has 3 divisions. Mm-hmm. 2 are very, very, very strong and deep rooted in the fabric of what Winwood are doing. Yeah. Because it's a maritime intelligence business. So it's all around like behavioral insights at a vessel level. So like, are you doing deceptive shipping practices, illegal fishing? Are you spoofing? Are you manipulating your GNSS? And that product lends itself to like the government domain. Yes. So like in the instance where the Strait of Hormuz, for instance, like Winwood would be in there to provide a level of like visibility and actionable insights to businesses or to governments and navies to like protect their vessels and fleets. Oh, right. So that was a government domain. And then there was another commercial sector around compliance. Yeah. That I didn't work in, and then I helped set up really the supply chain division of Winwood. So I was the first commercial body in there. Again, like maybe 2 customers, like very little revenue. Yeah, it was a 0 to 1 job. Like it was like, okay, the market, the industry, get us into 10 places, like get on with it.
Is that the thing that sort of like excites you in a way?
Yeah, a little
like
bit.
Be first man on the ground.
Well, I think so. Look, I mean, it's a bit of a young man's game, I think. Yeah. So like, I'm not sure I've got another one in me, and it's stressful, right? Yeah. Because you're bought in because of your knowledge, because of your network, and you need to make it work. And 9 times out of 10, the product's not quite there, right? Yeah. So how are you selling the vision, getting people to buy into who you are? And they're buying from an individual at the end of the day, right? So, I mean, they hopefully the product can stand up, and at Winwood it definitely did. But ultimately, it's your relationships, and it's you're the one taking all the flights around the world, and you're the one sitting in the boardrooms discussing this stuff. So it was a lot of work in the beginning, but we got the sales motion really up and running. Had some great people around me, and really we were selling into the top 20, 30 forwarders in the world.
Right.
So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And was there ever a moment where you like landed a deal and you was almost like a pinch yourself, can't believe I've landed the plane, or
Yeah, I mean, especially the big ones, I think you kind of always do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the thing with Winwood, and actually with FreightSuite, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, but the decisions to buy this type of technology are happening at a C-suite or board level.
Yeah.
Like 9 times out of 10, this stuff needs to go through a board pack.
Yeah.
In order to get a signature or the economic buyer to agree to do it, right? So I think you should always celebrate it.
Yeah.
And I think there was some Gartner research around technology now. Something like 20 people need to be involved in the actual buying decision in order to buy any new tech, like in this day and age.
Wow.
So if you're a small team or a nascent product, and you've got, 20 people to validate your product, your system, or your sales process, and they sign on the dotted line, it's like, it's one to be proud of.
Yeah,
it is for sure.
Mega. And I'd just like to touch into some of that, just because people, they're all on a similar journey, and I'm sure we'll take some inspiration in it. People do it differently. And you're probably one of the ones that has done it differently, to be fair. Most, as I say, have come through the ranks of either initial sales or ops.
Yeah.
Where's things at now? Because obviously it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
From what we spoke about off cam.
Yeah.
Where's things at now?
So I had an opportunity to join FreightSuite. And I knew Sam, the CEO and co-founder, for maybe a year or so. We rubbed shoulders at the same events, etc. And we built a relationship that way. And we started to just talk a bit about his sales motion, how they're going to market, who they're targeting. As always, I departed a bit of my insight, that's just how I behave. And they took a bit of that on board, I think, over the course of 6-8 months.
Yeah.
And then just the timing kind of worked for us to start taking a closer look at it, really.
Right.
So I've joined as chief revenue officer.
Yeah.
We're a company of about 25 people now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really my role to take the entire thing to market. They've been busy building the product for 4 years, very quietly, very quiet. I'm here to make the noise, right? So they've been doing this in a very discreet manner, in a very, very engineering heavy, clever way.
Yeah.
And now's the time to really capitalize on all of that hard work and take it to market.
It's giving me a Rolls Royce feel. It's slow, calm, confident.
Well, I mean, you said 0 to 1, but when I joined FreightSuite, it definitely felt 0.5 to 1, because it's really not from nothingness. And look, the product stands up for itself. It's very, very robust. It's been, we were speaking a bit offline about FreightCore and the business, the freight forwarding business that FreightSuite owns.
Yeah.
So that freight forwarder operates in a very, very high efficiency. Does around about 4,000 TEUs with only 2 people working in it. That's kind of unheard of in the market.
Yeah, it's super impressive.
It is. And so in terms of the R&D feedback that we were able to get from our own forwarding unit on the SaaS product was remarkable, because usually in the early days, you close a few deals and you squeeze that client for as much information as you can, and you just hope they give you feedback so you can improve yourself.
Yeah.
But we had it 24/7, right, for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So FreightSuite's been born out of that, and coming in and seeing the product and seeing the breadth and the depth of what they've built was really impressive.
What was the background of the founders? Just for context.
Yeah, sure. No. So Sam's always been entrepreneurial. Sam's the CEO. He's run a couple of companies himself, and prior to this, and actually he was moving cargo out of China. He was kind of like moving commodities around the world.
Yeah.
And started to see firsthand like the frustration involved in how do you communicate with forwarders, how do you communicate with your customers and carriers, and saw the bottlenecks and the pinch points. So he kind of had it from the ground up. Like he'd really, really, really lived the pain.
Yeah.
And that kind of was burnt away at him a little bit. Like there must be a better way.
Yeah.
Will is actually a very good friend of his anyway. He's the CTO and the other co-founder. Will is like very good pedigree from Apple. Was a senior engineer on Apple Pay.
Oh, right.
IBM, Goldman Sachs is where he actually came from recently. So yeah, they sat down. I think it was at a party over a beer actually, where most good things happen, right?
Yeah.
And they decided to like tackle this head on and start to build the TMS.
Mega.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's injected steroids into the vision, I guess, of what Sam was set out to do.
Yeah.
And then I guess like where do you see the market as is now? Because if FreightSuite sit in that that more tech tech SaaS space, where do you sort of see the freight forwarding market at the minute?
So I think if I talk about tech for a second, is that all right?
Of course.
So I think in the tech space and how it impacts forwarding, there's been some major tailwinds, like especially recently. So example, one thing to think about is that everyone now has an AI strategy. Like every forwarder has to have an AI strategy. Like they either have a head of AI or a CTO or a CDO that has to look at this and has to build out pilots and POCs to keep the tires on any AI product, which is great for someone in my position, right? Or that works in freight tech. The whole DSV thing. So DSV buying Schenker and then just this week on their market updates, they've said, look, we're going to rationalize the number of systems we have and we're going to move to Tango. That's a huge impact because they're moving away from CargoWise and they're the largest forwarder in the world, right? So that's caused ripples because I think now in every board and every organization has to take a look at what DSV have done and how they've gotten an off ramp off CargoWise, which is great for someone like myself. I think geopolitical events as well is like a major one. Yeah, we don't have to go into all of them, but I think over the course of like the past 4 or 5 years, it's just put supply chains, in the headlines really.
And I feel like it's almost a blessing and a curse.
I know.
It's like a pain in the ass when they happen and they're causing big upsets or operational nightmares. But then equally, there's opportunities at the cracks of it.
There is. I think what we find is that for the freight forwarder, their end customer, because of what's happening in the world and where the pinch points are, particularly on ocean freight, that governs what 90% of the world trade, right? So let's talk about that. But because the end user is demanding so much visibility, so much communication, so much data out of the forwarder has to look to technology, right? They have to do something about it. And I think like forwarders actually, they've had a bit of a bad rap in terms of how quickly they automate things and adopt like new software. Yeah. Because forwarders they've been automating things for years, right? Yeah. Forwarding's a very low margin business. And they're the experts at managing their margin. That's why they're here, right? And no one understands the bottlenecks better than a freight forwarder around, invoicing, documentation, regulatory changes, customs, all the rest of it. And because that is so complicated and they're the orchestration of shipments, they've had to automate things. They've had to build dashboards, models. Yeah. They've had to be smart with it. Yeah. So I'm of the camp that I don't think they've really been as slow to adopt automation. I think that they've always been aware of it. Yeah. They've always understood their processes. They've always done time in motion studies to see like where they can gain like marginal increments, right? To protect their margin. So I think they've got an appetite for it. But their operating systems have kind of they've outgrown them, or they haven't scaled with the forwarder, or the demands of the forwarder's customer, the operating system can't live with.
Got you.
So the operating system now sits there. The forwarder creates a fabric of integrations, of scripts, of workflow automations on top of it, but the underlying issue has not been resolved.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's quite exciting for someone like us. That's a perfect sort of recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to get, I guess, I know you started with some profile, but like you guys are PE backed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry, VC backed.
VC backed, sorry. Yeah. And where are you at on that journey? Where's that up to?
Yeah. So look, we're being approached by a number of VCs now, just because our go-to-market's been working. Yeah. We're in the press a lot. We're starting to make a lot more noise, and we're getting attention. But also, the good thing is that our customers are starting to talk about the work that we're doing.
Yeah,
and that typically will attract VC money and VC interest. So I think the first thing that we want to do is open additional offices.
Yeah.
So we're opening in Vietnam to govern like the Asia region. That's been like contractually agreed that we're going to do that. And then we're looking, as we said earlier, in Austin in Texas to sort of serve that North American and Latin market.
Yeah.
And because that growth's happening, and it's happening through customer acquisition, right? Like in a business at our stage, you don't just open an office and hope that they come.
Put a stake in the ground and then see if you can build around it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's happening because we're doing it, right? And we're acquiring customers. And yeah, I think the inevitable next step will be to raise money.
And it's interesting because when you say US, like it's a huge market. Yeah. And I know would you say that the tech has been stress tested to handle the type of volume scale that, the US brings?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a beast, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it has. Look, I mean, our most recent customer required is like an 800-person forwarder.
Right.
So if you tier the market, that's really the upper side of forwarding. I mean, the big mega forwarders are well within the thousands, right?
Yeah.
But as we learned this week, DSV has 6% market share and they're the largest forwarder in the world.
Yeah.
So it's a very fragmented place, right? So our go-to-market is to try and serve really people from 50 headcount to like 1,000. We have a product for people over 1,000, but it's a bit of a different way of interacting with us.
Yeah.
And so in terms of the US, I think it has been stress tested. And also we know what we're not good at.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't profess to do the clearances, for instance. So we will partner with a third party to do that. And that's already set up. We also don't do the balance sheet reporting in the accounting setting either. So like we'll also partner with third parties.
Got you.
So there's a great example of that in the UK where we're working with a company called Clearport. They are a custom software. They're, in my opinion, the best in the market what they do. And we don't want to do that, right? So we've got a very, very good first-class integration with them. It's bilateral. It updates in their system, it updates in ours. And we're going to do these types of things through that level of partnership. So we've got a good example of how that works here. And in the US, it will be no different.
Yeah.
We're working with a company quite closely called Crimson Logic,
right?
That would then govern that side of it as well.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say about the US is that it's obviously huge on a road freight and trucking.
Yeah.
Trucking level. I wouldn't say that for a standalone trucking business you'd choose something like us.
Got you.
I would say it's more of a multimodal play.
Yeah.
Is where that's our bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
The standalone.
Why is that?
I think, well, if you own a fleet of trucks, you kind of need an asset management software that we'll never profess to be.
Right.
So systems like Cargo, spelled with a Q, they're very, very good on the trucking side of things on that TMS. And also that you need a lot of more granularity around like dock door availability, delivery requests, and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And look, we have road freight as a function in the platform. I don't want that to be heard incorrectly. It is in there, but for a standalone like road freight provider, we probably we'd outsource that to someone else.
Got you. And I guess big part of the tech piece. How would you suggest like FreightSuite integrate their tech with companies? Like, how, what does that look like? And what would you say maybe some of the pains are in doing it, if any?
Do you mean on the customer side?
Yeah, on the customer.
So how do we deploy it?
So if you guys, like the 800-man freight forwarder you mentioned, like what sort of step one for integration? How long does it typically take? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to note is like this is hard.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't dance around that. Like, this is a complex business transformation that is signed off by a CEO or a president to change the operating platform of their business. This isn't a bolt-on or a quoting tool or a
quick plug and play.
No, it isn't, right? And so we built FreightSuite to behave that way. So we've got a lot of like empathy around change management and business transformation. And so it's part of what we sell. So if you think about the sales process for a second, our implementation and deployment team come in way before we've closed the deal.
Yeah.
And there's so many reasons for that, because it builds credibility for you as an organization that you're listening.
Yeah.
But also anything that needs to be customized or built in terms of localization, right? We want to be a global business. To understand Vietnamese local customs requirements, tax regulations, and documentations needs to be captured early on in the process, right? To be understood. So that's kind of how we do it pre-sale. Post-sale, look, we've got a deployment team, and we've got an 8-phased approach to implementation. It's very document heavy. Like we've got a lot of like skill sets and a lot of people that have done it before. So one of our VPs, Richard Ensel, has deployed CargoWise at DHL. He's done a lot of change management in Hellman and other like global forwarders as well. So we've hired in for the expertise.
Yeah.
And also they're ex-forwarders themselves, right? So we don't want to be an organization that comes in that hasn't done the roles or the jobs to be done.
Almost consultancy model.
Well, it's hearts and minds to get this off the ground, right?
Yeah.
So we need to go in and speak the same language immediately.
Yeah.
So people say, okay, cool, this is not a threat.
Yeah.
And look, forwarders will smell a rat, right?
Yeah.
And they smell them quickly.
Yeah.
So that's not our approach.
Yeah.
I said we've got 8 phases, but it's very, very hands-on. Like we travel, we're face-to-face, train the trainer model. So there's technical discovery sessions that go on to understand their workflows and how they would transfer into ours. Then there's a system config setup that we have to get all of their master data. We have to house that all within FreightSuite. We have to do the system config and get it right for their environment.
Yeah.
And then we typically go into like a UAT, user acceptance testing, with a small group of super users, and they know all the nooks and crannies of their business and whether or not FreightSuite is robust enough to go live. And then we can go live by like country by country, office by office.
Yeah.
That's typically the approach.
Gradual turn on.
Yeah.
And how long would that take, cradle to, like almost start to finish?
So look, it depends on the size of the business, right? And the level of system config and the integrations you have to build, etc. But look, we try and work to like 6 to 9 months to have it fully live and like set up. If it's a smaller organization, it can be much, much quicker, a couple of months. Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a bit unfair at the minute to like, but obviously going to have to bring it up. But the whole CargoWise pricing change, things like that.
Yeah.
How's that sort of affecting things and what?
Well, I think so. Look, it's greatly affecting things, and I think that CargoWise have brought out a different pricing structure. That's affected people in the market. The outcome is typically that people are paying more.
Yeah.
And CargoWise are releasing AI features. They are trying to weave in additional automation. For sure they are.
Yeah.
And it needs to be heard that they are doing that.
Yeah.
However, I think that as with anyone in any walk of life, you get a price increase, you're going to start to chop about. So in terms of, for us, we see and meet a lot of forwarders that are in an RFI, they're in an RFQ, they've launched a formal tender to see, okay, well, we've made a decision here that we want to move away from that. And it's not just CargoWise, right? There are other providers as well that are very old in nature. Their UIs and UX are very monolithic, like type experiences. So people are starting to make the stance that we want to change. And And so we see a lot of like formal processes starting really, and a lot of inbounds. That's the other like lovely thing. Like, if you work in sales or like as you do,
you're in the dream.
Yeah, if someone comes to you saying like, I want to have a look, then that's first class, isn't it?
Is it easy to unplug from like almost contractually? Is it easy to exit from a cargo wise, or is it?
So what typically happens is they will move down to just like a rolling contract.
Got you.
And then in the migration to FreightSuite, they will have like a read-only form of CargoWise.
Got you.
That because you always end up with like a duality of systems.
Yeah.
So ours will be running their current software, could be CargoWise, could be others.
Yeah.
Will also be running on in the background, and then once everything's fully set up in FreightSuite, they'll cut over. But what people are saying is either they've got a drop dead date in their contract that's coming up, let's say at the end of the year, or they transfer to like a rolling monthly.
Got you.
Yeah.
And is there any business like you guys would say turn away? And I guess.
Yeah. So my go-to market, ours, I would say, not mine, but it is to really try and serve more enterprise businesses.
Yeah.
And less your boutique sort of 5 to 8 person forwarder.
Yeah.
And they also need help, right? They also they're being squeezed a little bit in that end of the market in terms of like their impact on tech and change requests. So they do need help. Mm-hmm. But what we want to be known for really is a genuine challenger to CargoWise.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you need to work at the larger end of the market. So I would say 30 people upwards.
Right.
So it's a huge sector, massive. Like it's a huge broad range. But the very, very lower end, I think that the way you have to serve that end of the market and the pressure it creates on like support within a SaaS provider is something that we're probably not going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like where you sort of see it going.
Yeah.
So FreightSuite 5 years from now, what you sort of seeing the profile of the business looking like in terms of people, revenue?
Yeah.
What would the absolute dream be?
So we talk about this a lot, right? And actually the reason why I took the role is because I agreed to like the 5-year plan and I'm bought into it, right? And I can affect it, which is exciting. We very soon we're going to open we're going to have offices in 3 locations. So the plan is to have a global presence, right? And what that will typically mean is like a hell of a lot more engineers.
Yeah.
And then on the go-to-market side that I'll be running is a fully fledged marketing outfit. It's something we have a bit of a marketing spend today. So that would be a fully scaled marketing engine.
Yeah. And
then on the sales side, in 5 years' time, you're looking at a complete global sales team.
Yeah. Right.
But I think it's doable. I mean, if you look at deal sizes for something like an operating system, because you're changing the entire way that the business is running, these tech spends are well within the millions, right?
Yeah.
So if we start to win and close some of the larger end forwarders and start to work in a land and expand way, look, I wouldn't expect a top 20 or 30 forwarder to rip out what they're using and just put us in.
Yeah.
We're going to have to win a couple of countries, demonstrate value, demonstrate the change management's rock solid.
Yeah.
And then we can bleed into it, right? So in terms of how that revenue projection that hockey stick, it's very achievable.
Yeah.
But the 5-year thing from where I'm sat today is going to be a hell of a journey. It's going to be good.
Mega. So how does FreightSuite, I guess, build into the freight forwarders automation and like almost from a practical sense? Yeah. How do we get into the automation side?
So I mean, FreightSuite was born out of a forwarding business. Okay. So what that meant was, because we had Freight Core as the forwarding operating business, we were able to break down all of the component parts of freight forwarding, understand how they work today, and then piece them back together So it didn't change in terms of customer experience, in terms of how you were relating back to them, but the operational efficiencies were all uncovered through that process.
Yeah.
And then we were able to build agents and automations on top of those once we'd understood them.
Yeah.
So all of the handoffs and the exit gates you have to do in forwarding, we were able to scrutinize to the nth degree to understand how can we do it in a better light? How can we overlay automation or agents on top of that?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, that was our approach. And I think that actually gives us the right to own the narrative of being AI native, because FreightSuite was built, in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another TMS on the market that could say that. What that means is everything has been built on today's tech that makes it scalable and future-proof for whatever's going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years, which is where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of forwarding, when freight moves, there's like multiple things that move as well. Like the cargo moves, communication moves, finance moves, documentation moves. There's like a multitude of swim lanes that happen there.
Yeah.
And our automations look at those swim lanes and see how they can like compress the time. And there's lots of different examples, like quoting, for example. We can have widgets that sit live within your emails to read emails, categorize them, and then create quotations within, under 60 seconds within your Outlook or Gmail, or wherever you live.
Yeah.
And that's just like a very easy one to do on quoting. But with rate management, for example, we use LLMs to ingest rates.
Yeah.
Understand, and these rate sheets from carriers are big and bulky things with thousands of line items that typically people have to filter and understand. But we can throw that into LLMs, it vectorizes that, and then we cache all of the results that you're calling upon. So the live rate requests and how you pull out the rate requests from rate sheets is very, very, very fast to do.
Yeah.
We also have fully automated communication within the platform. So at certain milestones or events across the shipment lifecycle, you have to communicate with the client. Like for instance, on a delay, on an ETA change, on an arrival, on a proof of delivery. And there's lots of others, right? So the system learns and understands all of those milestones, and you can configure that. So when they happen and that milestone occurs, automated comms just go directly out of it. And also all communication that comes in, we read. So we receive every email that a forwarder receives.
Yeah.
So we've got a plugin, a listener that sits on your email.
I was going to ask, is there someone managing or the communication?
So within the platform natively, we receive all of the forwarders' communication. Right. Because look, I used to have 160 emails a day working in operations, and a lot of it's noise, right? A lot of it's like updates or things you don't need, over communications, errors. You're CC'd into shipment details at origin that you don't need. It's very, 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 very messy. So like a forwarder to manage your inbox is, a third of the day. Yeah. So we house all the emails within the product.
Got you.
And embedded within all of these emails is always documentation.
Yeah.
So we lift that out via OCR. We categorize the document. Is it a bill of lading? Is it a commercial invoice? Is it a packing list? Is it customs clearance? What is it? Categorize all of that, and then we're able to OCR all of the information on the document to publish into the system. Yeah. And that's all manual labor today. Wow. That's all manually happening.
Yeah. And so it's going to, do you think it's going to replace jobs? Or do you feel like there's a human that needs to sit to sort of manage it?
So where I think it's going is, to answer the question like straightforwardly, yes, it will remove jobs. Yeah. Okay. But what I think is going to happen is that the economics of forwarding will change. Right. And it's actually already changing. Yeah. And what I mean by that is like the operational model of forwarding. If you look at sort of the organizational chart of a forwarder as a pyramid, the bottom layer, that foundational layer, is all operations. Yeah. Right. These are the people that are doing the jobs, that are cutting the airway bills, the bill of ladings, looking at documentation, handling that inbox, those inboxes, etc. And if you think that if you're able to deploy AI at scale, or have an AI native operating system to sit across that operational foundation, and let's say you can automate 60 to 70% of that work. These individuals here have the opportunity to be elevated or graduate into just higher value tasks. What I mean by that is sales, commercial relationships, building better relationships, building trust with clients, and communicating with clients in the way that they need and want. And that's quite exciting, because as that happens and people start to reduce their operating expense, which is basically what's happening, you have a chance at this higher level to increase your revenue.
Yes.
So in a standard operating model, a forwarder might make 15 to 20% gross margin. That kind of spits out at sort of 1 to 5% EBIT.
Yeah.
Now, in the new model, in like an AI-native model, you reduce the operating expense of that foundational layer. Those people graduate into higher value generating tasks. It's kind of what they're dubbed as. What that means is you can increase your top line revenue.
Yeah.
When that happens, these individuals get to create a competitive advantage for the forwarder that's not currently there.
Yes.
Right. So these people get to do whatever it is that they feel right by their client.
Yeah.
And if a forwarder really looks at that layer and gets that right, it will create a moat that currently isn't there today. So the first movers of this that are doing this, they have a chance to lower OPEX, increase gross rev, even to the point, we have clients doing this today, even to the point where they'll reduce the freight cost to the client to grab more business. So for forwarders that aren't doing it, it could be a bit existential for sure.
Yeah.
And
are you allowed to talk price? Or is it, i.e. in terms of, and I suppose it's going to be subject to the type of client it's going to be fit for, because it's probably going to be priced up in a more bespoke way. But is there almost
So I'll talk about like sort of rough orders of magnitude, I guess, and also how we get there.
Yeah.
So what we do at FreightSuite is we ask the client for a number of data points.
Yeah.
And those data points might be, how many people do you have in your business that are operational in nature? What is your revenue? How many offices do you have? How many countries do you operate in?
Yeah.
And like line levels around customization and any moderations that we need to make.
Got you.
That matrix, we're able to create a tiering for a forwarder to know kind of what they would expose to rate wise.
Yeah.
And look, we go for a flat platform fee.
Right.
We don't want to charge per head because we think that the heads will drop.
Yes.
And even if they did grow, we don't want to penalize a forwarder for growing with headcount. And likewise, we don't want to be a transactional model because people are going to do more shipments. We know that. Everyone that we meet is like, they will say that their growth targets are 30, 40%.
Yeah.
Now, if your SaaS cost grows by 30, 40%, that's not very
counterintuitive.
palatable.
Yeah.
It's just not, you're almost getting hamstrung for growing.
Yeah.
Which is not something we're going to do. So we've landed on a flat platform fee.
Sounds like a really nice way of doing it. Just in my experience with tech, it's any other product I've used, it's the hamstring model.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're getting penalized for the growth.
Yeah. No, that's not what we want.
And you can't always downscale if there is a geopolitical instance or a COVID turns up or something like that.
Yeah. So. I mean, the way that we describe it is that with the platform fee, and if people want to restructure their org, get the foundational layer trimmed and become more of a sales entity and basically change the forwarding product that they're selling. So it will be more of an exception management model, right? If they want to do that, something like COVID comes along and the forwarders not doing as many shipments, for example, I don't think that we can be penalized as a SaaS company, because essentially people have made the decision to outsource automations to us. We're the ones running the LLMs. We're the ones that have the credit spends. We're the ones building the agents. Yeah. And we're doing that so people can redeploy their staff.
Be freer of the the manual tasks. Yeah. Interesting. Well, to take it back then to when you to when you first got into logistics.
Yeah.
If you were gonna give yourself, looking back over your shoulder, any advice.
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you give yourself?
If I was to give myself advice, I would say double down on like the relationship building side of the business.
Right.
So I think the people that are going to go far in forwarding, and I'm excited by that, like the model change, because I think it's going to give a lot of people a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
But if I was to give myself advice back then, it would be double down on like relationship building, commercial acumen, understanding like people and what motivates them. Because as the model changes and more people get exposed to being client facing, you need to be ready for it, right? So like get comfortable with presenting, with traveling, with, you know, late nights and like not being fully prepared when you should be, and those types of things. Because there will be fewer operational tasks.
Yes.
And those workflows will be they'll be automated by agents, right? So the people that will survive, like not survive, the people that will just thrive will be the ones that can handle client engagement face to face.
Mega. And when you say like your face to face or your relationship building, is there, for someone who's literally just got into sales, is there anything you would say is like a good way to build that muscle? You know, or...
I think get on the phone. You've got to speak to people. Like
every sales director out there is going to love you saying that.
Well, no, it doesn't need to be a cold call. Right. Because I mean, they're very difficult. And we were talking about it earlier. I receive a lot of cold calls now, and I take them actually, and I speak to them because like fair play to them. But I think outside of like cold calling and just trying to drive top of funnel, you've got to be able to talk to the individual you're opposite to. And understand where they are emotionally, work-wise, what are they up against? Because ultimately, sales is a lot about leadership and creating pressure points to your advantage, really, right, to get things done. But you can't pull those levers if someone has a bad personal experience outside of work, is on holiday, is on a public holiday, you know, is just about to have a baby, is moving house, is doing these things. And if you don't know these things personally about the individual, then
the interaction's going to be tough.
Exactly. So I think, you know, if you are sort of like starting out, you want to be in sales, or you want to be face to face, and you want to have a commercial type function, just don't forget who you're dealing with. You know, because I said a little bit earlier on, like people buy from people. Like hopefully you've got the best feature set and the best products, but they trust in you, right? And you're helping their buyer journey. But the buyer journey is not just like read the order form and hope the pricing's good. You have to enable them to sell internally. And you have to unblock a ton of roadblocks that they're facing that they may not even be communicating to you that they have. So uncovering like where they are personally, where they sit in the hierarchy of their role in their function as well, is like hyper important. And you only get that by talking to people. Because what happens is you have a couple of face to faces or a Teams call, and then it all gets onto email. And people just forget about them or open it and then something else happens. And you've attached 3 documents with like 10 pages worth of stuff for them to read. And you're creating work for them. So if you can speak to them and get down to like how you unlock things for them, I think that's like, that's what I would do.
It's so interesting. And I'm obviously looking at it through a slightly different lens, but like the email and you know, just the more online interactions, for some reason, you don't get the, I just think it almost adds an extra 3 layers, because it's almost, they raise slightly more formal processes, they raise slightly more, you know, slightly more barriers to actually getting to where where you want to get to. So phone is gold.
It is.
I guess you mentioned you got 2 kids.
I do.
How old?
They're 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
And
like,
they're my world.
You went down the legal route initially, then jumped into logistics. Could you see them getting into logistics when they're older? Would you guide them into the
Yeah, I mean, they see a lot about what I do, and obviously they're processing it, and they can only understand it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But they know that I'm interacting with people all over the world, and they know that I'm involved in a supply chain, like global trade environment. So like whenever we're on holiday or whatever, and you see a containerized vessel, it's like, Daddy, like those are the ships that you care about. Which is amazing.
They're registering it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So they can piece together, like, I'm traveling, I talk a lot.
Yeah.
And then they can see something that I'm impacting or I'm a part of. So I think for them, it's actually it resonates, like what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that, logistics, forwarding, global trade, movement of goods is in like a really good spot.
Yeah.
And supply chains are the backbone of everything. So I would support it for sure. I would do, yeah.
That would be pretty cool. They're still pretty young though, aren't they? I suppose.
Yeah.
But mega. Well, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. I thought I'd finish it on a more sentimental note.
No, it's kind of you, yeah. Thanks.
But it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, Joe.
Appreciate getting into it.
Thanks, mate.